Oh, hi! Welcome back to our vegan kitchen. I must have done so many tofu recipes, but I must say, this one is the ultimate grand supreme of tofu stir-fry recipes.
And I can back that up.
And my family are very tough critics, so if they say this is the best, you can rest assured this is the best. My dog just snorted over there too. She said, "Yes, Mother, it's the best." All right, so this one is going to come together very quickly. You could serve it over Chinese noodles. You could serve it over rice. We're having it over rice today. It's very customizable, the stir-fry part. The tofu part, it's going to be the same, but today we're using mushrooms, red pepper, some garlic, some spring onions, and broccoli.
Not the peanut butter.
No, not the peanut butter. That's there for the dogs. So let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is pan fry our tofu. And I'm sorry if you're SOS free, but this is what makes this recipe taste so good. I try and use as little oil as possible. I'm not like deep frying it. I'm just sauteing it. So if you feel the need to want to change this and do it in the air fryer, go right ahead. But it's not going to taste as good as this. It's just a fact. I mean, if I was cutting down on my oil, I would just do it in the air fryer. So I have a block of extra super firm tofu here. This is, I think, the Nasoya. The thing is, the best tofu for this recipe is actually at Walmart, and it's the pre-pressed tofu, and it gives such a nice chew, but not too much. This one's a little bit much. It's very firm, but we're gonna suffer through it today. It's still gonna be delicious, but it's not gonna be the best. So since this one is extra tall, we're going to cut this into thirds. Now, you don't have to do this into cubes. You could do this in slabs if you were feeling lazy or in a hurry and you didn't want to do the cubes, but we're doing the cubes today. And we're doing about 1-inch cubes.
Beautiful.
Isn't it though? This is like the perfect bite of tofu, I feel like.
It is.
Any bigger is too big. Any smaller, no. That's scramble. Alright. So now, we're just going to be using 2 ingredients to coat our tofu. Is one of them soy sauce? No. One of them is cornstarch. Or if you don't like cornstarch or you're allergic to corn, you can use rice flour. You know, brown rice flour. That will work really well too. I'm going to say that's like 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. And we're also going to be using for flavor this seasoned salt from BJ's. I mean, they have this everywhere. You can use whatever you want. If you're cutting back on your sodium, just do a little sea salt and pepper maybe. But I really like this one. It's got a little bit of everything in here. It's got a little spicy, which it's not really. It's got garlic, it's got peppers, it's got onion and parsley.
Something for everybody.
I think it's got a little bit, it's got a little bit of sugar too. So it gives a nice little taste, and some celery salt. So I just use a little bit of this. Maybe about half a teaspoon to a teaspoon. And you want to pre-mix this with the cornstarch because you don't want to get that too concentrated on any of the tofu. You don't want to get a big salty piece of tofu. That's not fun. And then all you have to do is put your tofu in here. Make sure you got a big enough bowl, unlike me, so that you have enough room to toss the tofu in here. And I like to do this with a spatula because I go underneath, I wedge it underneath so that the tofu doesn't break up too much.
Nice.
You could also do this in like a silicone bag or some sort of a bag. If you hate the environment, you can use a disposable bag and wash it. Yes. Oops, one got away. So Make sure you use, you get all of the cornstarch sucked up into the tofu. And we're going to heat up our pan because the first thing we're going to do is fry the tofu and then set it aside. So that looks great. So we're going to put this on medium-high. Today we're using some avocado oil because that has a higher smoke point and you don't want your oil to transform into something that's bad for you. So don't use olive oil because the smoke point's not high enough. And this is, I would say, 1.5 tablespoons of oil. You could go a little more if you wanted a little more, or a little bit less. You could do a tablespoon, but I wouldn't do any less than that unless you're doing this in the air fryer. So we're just going to wait a second for this to get hot, and we're going to dump our tofu in there. Alright, we're going to make sure when the oil is hot that it's covering the whole bottom of the pan. And we're going to dump in our tofu. And we're going to spread it out into a single layer. We don't want any Coachella on your shoulders for the tofu. Everybody gets a seat.
Okay.
There's no babies on your lap for the movies. Everyone has to pay for a seat. So we're just going to keep tossing it every couple of minutes until it all gets nicely, lightly browned all around.
We'll show you.
Yeah. Alright, as you can see, I've flipped these a couple of times already. I would spend most of my time on pan frying the tofu because, let's face it, it's the star of the show.
It really is.
So make sure that all of the sides are at least a little bit browned if you got to do it like that. I like to use a pancake flipper like this so you get right under and then just give it a good toss like that. But this is probably going to need another 5 minutes. I would say you should devote about 12 minutes to frying the tofu because that will give you enough of a browning on it. You don't want it too much, you don't want it burnt, but you don't want it to be like a wet sponge either. So this will also help dry out the tofu. So 12 to 15 minutes on the tofu. Alright, this is looking absolutely perfection. So we're just going to take this out and put it on the plate that we cut it on, set it aside.
So beautiful.
You can hear it on the plate, it's a little crunchy, but not burnt. And the pan is nice and hot, ready to go, because we're going to put the mushrooms and peppers in. Ooh, that's hot. And I'm not going to add any additional oil to the pan. It's still got some residual there. This is a very good nonstick pan as well. And the mushrooms are going to sweat off some moisture. So that's going to keep everything from sticking. Don't worry, I gotcha.
I feel better.
Yes. So we're just going to saute these for 3 to 4 minutes before we add the broccoli. Alright, so usually I get actual broccoli and cut it up off the stem, but today I said just the florets, thanks. So already washed, just dump it in. Beautiful. We're also putting in the most of 3 scallions, green onions chopped up. Of course we want to leave some uncooked for after we turn the heat off and give it a good stir. So we're going to put all of the white parts in and leave I don't know, like a 1/4 cup for garnishing and such. So we'll give this a stir for another couple of minutes and then we'll add our garlic. I don't like to add the garlic until the end because it's much too easy to burn the garlic and then it tastes bitter and it's going to ruin the whole dish. And I've been using this frozen garlic lately. It's like garlic zits. You pop them out and it's just perfection. What else can I say? Alright, my garlic thawed out a little bit from sitting on the table.
Aww.
Oh no! It didn't come out completely. I hate when that happens.
Oh! Oh my goodness.
That happens.
Whoops.
So, yeah, that is a real disappointment, I have to say. Let me see if I could, I'm going to put in, I usually put in 2. But since that was an incomplete, I'm going to try and, hope I don't squeeze it on myself.
There's garlic everywhere.
Yeah. Oh well. So now we're also going to put in some seasonings. This is still cooking, probably for another 3 minutes maybe. I like to do my tamari because I'm gluten-free and soy sauce is gluten, if you didn't know that. So you can either get the tamari gluten-free, or you can use the Bragg's liquid aminos or coconut aminos. This is probably, I would say, 2.5 to 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. And I also like to use an acid. And I love lately this Glaze with balsamic vinegar of Modena. Sometimes I'll use like a seasoned rice wine vinegar, but something about this, it's nice and dark, and it just brings another dimension of flavor. And we're going to use about, I want to say like 2/3 of a tablespoon to a tablespoon of this. Don't be concerned that it's like on there. When you stir it around, it's going to get mixed up. Alright, this is looking amazing. It's got a little bit of sauce. If you want a little bit more sauce, just add like a 1/4 cup of water. And if it's too liquidy, you can add a little cornstarch. But when you put the tofu in, the residual cornstarch from the coating on the tofu will help thicken up the sauce as well. And of course, if any of this, I use the mushrooms just so that I don't have to do the oil. But if you don't like mushrooms and your stuff is sticking to the pan, feel free to saute it with a little bit of water, add some water. Now we're ready to put the tofu back in. Oh, you're going in here to be delicious.
Ooh.
We're going to give it a stir, reheat it a little bit because it's been sitting out. And we like our food hot, don't we?
We do.
Don't ever serve my mother cold food. You'll never hear the end of it. Alright, just let that heat through for a couple of seconds. Oh, the rice is ready with perfect timing. We're going to add the scallions on the top. We're also going to add just a couple of shakes of 100% pure sesame oil. This is a finisher. You don't fry in this. This just gives a subtle toasted sesame flavor. I don't even think that was a 1/4 of a teaspoon. A little bit of that goes a long, long way. So we're just going to give it one final toss and we'll be ready to eat. Alright, there is a beautiful bowl of deliciousness.
How wonderful
We
is
have
this?
some wonderful jasmine rice. Are you ready to let your taste buds set sail on a sea of pan-fried tofu? It's super hot, so you better blow like you never blowed before.
I will admit, I did sneak one tofu while you were sauteing the veggies.
Uh-huh.
Because I couldn't help myself. And of course, it was amazing.
Oh, well,
but let's
you.
taste it with all the stuff.
Okay.
Can never be too careful.
No, please don't bite with abandon.
Ah! Okay.
Also, thank you. You
Oh
can
my god!
do a sprinkle of sesame seeds if you like.
Or some peanuts.
Yes.
This is like my favorite dish right now.
Oh.
It's so good.
Ultimate pan-fried tofu.
Tofu, I love you! I could just eat the tofu alone, like, as a snack or
Right.
meal or whatever. But, like...
It would be a great high-protein snack.
Mm-hmm. Everything in there is so amazing. The flavors are great. The textures are great. But the tofu really just...
It's the star of the show, baby.
It's something really special.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I really hope you guys give this a try because it is everything.
It's ultimate.
Yeah. And let us know if you do. Leave a comment down below. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And,
Smash the like button.
I guess, yeah. So thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, much love.